Hey everybody, my name is largely unemployed, and I no longer have a grievous head injury. About a week ago, with the bandage on my head, I asked you all to send me questions, and between the comments on that video and the Discord server, which is linked in the description, I got about 50 of them, which is quite a lot, so thank you all for turning out so much, and let's get through these. But first of all, a freebie. For those of you wondering why I was injured, I was doing pull-ups on one of those like door frame bars, you know, the ones you like hook over the metal frame of a door, and the damn thing slipped, and I fell straight back, hit the floor, and then rolled into a wall. And I sculpted about, I don't know, I'd say about a 2-inch diameter circle of skin right off the back of my head. So there's a huge red ring back here, which thankfully you can't see. But my god, did it hurt. I also whacked my pelvis something fierce. So that sucked. Anyway, we got so many questions this time that I had to split them into 3 categories. So there's like the more sane ones, then there's the less sane ones, which will become fairly apparent, and then there's the ones that have me like genuinely worried for your mental health. If you're asking people on the internet this, you should probably have your accounts administered by a court official. Anyway, let's dive straight into it. Officer C4 asks, what's the most wholesome experience you've had with a member of your audience? It was quite recent, actually. There was a guy who came onto one of my Dredge streams, keep him anonymous for the video's sake, but he mentioned that watching my Tarkov content and the other content had really helped him with his PTSD and helped him sleep. And that, you know, that's honestly probably the most wholesome thing I've ever heard. It's the biggest compliment I've ever gotten, I think. So thank you so much for telling me that. And if you're watching this, if you've ever fallen asleep to my content, or if listening to me drone on about inane things and war crimes and whatnot makes you feel better in any way, then please let me know in the comments. It really makes it feel like it's worth doing. Neo asks, will you continue playing co-op games? I really love those. And yeah, the answer is always yes. This channel was founded on collaboration, and so to collaboration it shall return. It's just kind of difficult at the moment with the load shedding schedule to really make sure that I can fit everybody in at the same time. So, I mean, like, I'm supposed to be collabing with Elmo and Bite Marks every week, but I haven't been able to, you know, do both each week for a while, just because I've been having like 4-hour blackout blocks every evening. But hopefully that'll improve in time, and then we'll be right back to it. Porto Maltese asks, what kind of games do you play, and what sort of games are you planning on giving a try now that Tarkov is off the table? So I prefer to play sandbox games, the games where you make the story. So games like Bannerlord, RimWorld, Project Zomboid, whatever it might be, right? And Tarkov is kind of like that in a way. The fun of the game comes from how you decide to play it. There's a lot of different ways to do it. It's not like Counter-Strike where there's kind of a meta, right? Well, there is a meta in Tarkov for PvP, but there's also a meta for ratting around and being a scav or whatever. So if I can find another similar game that has that element to it, then I'll totally play it. But I didn't play Tarkov because it was an extraction shooter. I played it because it was sandbox-like. When are you going to grow out your beard for the channel? Asked Dennis Feros. I don't know. My beard grows sideways, not down. So I always get like a bit of a sea captain look going on whenever I grow it out fully. So no promises just yet. What made you want to start YouTube? Asked Milk. I wanted to feel productive while procrastinating, is the simple answer. I was early 20s, studying law, didn't want to prep for an exam, and was like, well, what can I do now? Wanted to play some games, felt too guilty to actually play the games, so I figured, you know what, I'll just record myself playing this game, and maybe it'll lead somewhere, and here we are 7 years later. The channel's sort of been on and off many times, like it's died and been revived multiple times in that span. I haven't been making content for 7 years. Realistically, in total, probably 2 years. Like, total. And the first year of that was bad. Like, I wouldn't watch it. There are still some videos on this channel to this day that have 0 views, like XCOM 2 and stuff, like 0 views. It's crazy. Dennis asks again, where did you get that fine shirt of yours? This one here, I wore it just for this question. I got this on the way to your wedding from a Pick and Pay clothing. It was the equivalent of about $3.50, $4. So yeah, big spenders on this channel. What's your favorite game of all time? Asks Agent Steve. I hate questions like this because I can never pick one. But if you're asking me which game can I go back to every single time, and just like I'm always in the mood to play, is FTL. faster than light, a little roguelite, pixel art spaceship game. It's probably the best game ever made, in my opinion, in that it is infinitely replayable and always fun, which is kind of what they're supposed to be. Just Meta asks, which cat variety is best? Look, I mean, you're trying to get me cancelled here, clearly, but I like all cats equally. All cats matter. However, I will say the cat I like the least is a Sphinx, because something just feels wrong about having a ball sack sleeping on your bed. That isn't yours or your partner's, anyway. Magic asks, many questions here, which, if any, YouTuber would you consider your favorite and you cannot choose yourself? Shit. So, my favorite YouTuber at the moment is probably Northern Lion, just in that, like, he's the guy I actually look forward to uploading. Like, as in, like, when he uploads, I'm like, oh shit, happy to watch that, and I'll watch whatever he puts out. If you like my content, you'll probably like his. Check out Northern Lion on YouTube and Twitch. Would you say you have a role model? If so, who? Bonus points for a YouTube role model. I mean, my role model's probably, like, my godmother. She is a lifetime activist and human rights worker, and I grew up with her, and so that's sort of where I got into, you know, caring about this stuff. It was definitely learnt. I don't think it was innate in me. But for YouTube, I mean, the channel I would wish I was is Folding Ideas. It's probably the best channel on YouTube. You should go and watch it. I can't remember what the guy's name is, but Folding Ideas makes the best sort of YouTube video essay documentary videos I've ever seen. So go check it out, especially his one on NFTs and another one recently on the Metaverse and Crypto Bros. It is genuinely groundbreaking stuff. If you could get into another hobby besides rock climbing, medieval brawling, YouTube, and law, what would it be? Well, look, law is only a hobby because I'm currently unemployed. Normally it's just a job. Kind of the same goes for YouTube these days, I guess. But a hobby I'd really like to learn would be Arduino, electronics, some circuitry programming and stuff. I have a kit, I just haven't had the time. Then following up to Magic's question, what is your all-time favorite game? See my previous answer, it's FTL. And what variety of metal is best? Power metal is the correct answer. I couldn't agree more. I don't listen to much metal anymore, but when I did, it was all power metal. Hammerfall, Powerwolf. Oh man, some of those are... Oh, Powerwolf sings in Latin, and I was studying Latin at the time, so, like, come on. You know I'm gonna love that. Ombryu then asks, which country would you like to go live in? If you wouldn't want to move, what do you like best about where you live? So, I mean, I am in the process of moving. I loved living in South Korea. 100% would do it again. Probably am going to do it again. I probably will end up working as an English teacher if I do, so here we go. But which country would I like to live in? Probably France, to be honest. It's a beautiful place, and I'm learning the language, and it's close to a lot of the organizations that I could work for, so there you go. As for what I love about South Africa, the weather, it's amazing. The food is unbelievable, and the quality of life you can have for the cost of living is very high here. Obviously, you know, there's a lot going wrong at the moment, but, you know, without that, it really is kind of a wonderful place to live if you can afford to not live in poverty, which I suppose is true for everywhere. Number 2, which is the best planet? Look, I'm a Mercury stan. Not a lot of Mercury stans out there. I'm a big believer in Mercury supremacy, so it's gonna have to be Mercury. It's just great, man. We're gonna build a Dyson swarm out of that bad boy. Have you seen that Kurzgesagt video? You should. Is French better than English? I think they're both equally stupid and insane. Neither of them follows any of the rules they lay out. Both of them are, like, impossible to learn from step 1, and I would not recommend either to anyone. Go learn something useful, like Cantonese or Spanish. So when is that modded Minecraft server coming again? You kids and your jokes. Adachi asks, what software do you use to edit your videos? I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I have, only because I have access to it through my girlfriend, who is a graphic designer. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to people just starting out. It's very expensive, but it is the best in the industry that I've come across. I've used DaVinci Resolve, I've used Lightroom, I've used a couple of the other free ones. They're fine, but the Premiere makes things so easy. Couch asks, do you regret saying you would answer questions? Not yet, but I feel like we are getting there. And then, why does Magic look like you? Are you clones? And then to follow up on that, Senate says, real shit, why is he you, and why is you he? Magic and I share a godfather. Rather, his dad is my godfather. I've known him for years. And his dad and my mom used to date in high school. So, there is some suspicion, there's a rumor that, he and I might be related, that his dad's my dad, but I don't look anything like his dad. I do look a lot like him, but I don't look anything like his dad, my godfather. I look a lot like my dad, unfortunately. So, probably not related, but also all white people kind of just look the same, you know? Call Me Bo says, will you ever shave the glorious beard? And if not, what would we have to do to make it happen? Look, I would look like an egg with eyebrows, which I'm sure will be very funny to you, but would be emotionally traumatizing to me. So, the price on that's about, $200, we'll say. Pay my rent this month, and I'll shave my beard for you, on stream. God of the Beat says, Introduction to International Humanitarian Law, when? So he's talking about the Largely Legal channel, which is available in the description, link there, and there's also a, actually it's not in the description, but it is on the channel homepage, there's a link to it. I've rewritten and written and rewritten the first couple scripts about 40 times. I don't script my videos, clearly, and so it's really hard for me to adapt to this work style, and it's taking me a lot longer than I thought it would to put out this content. There's also a bit of a imposter syndrome, to be honest. Which it shouldn't be there, but it always is, right? Just Meta says, if you were to try a new game, what would it be? And what games are on your wish list? So a game I'm really keen on playing right now is a little deck builder called Wild Frost. Looks amazingly good. We'll probably stream it pretty soon, to be honest. And as for new games, I mean, I don't know what's out there. I don't really keep up anymore. I stopped paying attention to new games a long time ago. So let me know what's out there. Maybe there's some cool stuff. Then Senate asks, is Miles a more unhinged wizard kind of vibe or relentless general of an army of darkness kind of vibe? Look, I'm not a big believer in the superior command doctrine. I think it's got some flaws. So I'm probably going to have to just go with wizard just by the process of elimination. And I am, already clinically unhinged. So halfway there anyway. How old is Miles? I am 29, turning 30. As is every single person in human history who has been 29. Just Meta says, do you have any pets? Yes, I've got one cat, technically, 3 cats in practice. What's the time? 1.5 years ago, my mother left her cats with me, and so I've inherited 2 of hers, and they're wonderful. El Pollo Loco says, is there a single life event that pushed you into the career you pursue, which is international humanitarian law, for those of you who don't know? And was this something that you stumbled upon and found you loved? Well, look, I think pursuing is probably a better verb. I'm largely unemployed at the moment. Every gig I sign up for seems to go bankrupt. I swear to God, it's not got anything to do with me. Just countries aren't paying their dues to the UN. But it wasn't really one catalytic moment that pushed me into this. Like I mentioned, I grew up with a godmother who was very involved in human rights work and in that activist sort of space. And when I got into university, I got very involved in it too, but I didn't really ever see a career in it. It wasn't until I moved to South Korea and I was teaching English because I didn't know what else to do with my life that I decided to specialize in a field of international law that I did care about, which was, helping people, humanitarian work. And I went and got my master's, and just sort of by the stumbling forward, I got into this field. And I think it's definitely what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I love it. Old Man Tater says, what is your opinion of the movie Taken? I don't have one because I haven't watched it, but I do have a particular set of skills. Is that the quote? I don't even know. And this feels like Miles GPT? You're telling me, brother. Couch Potato says, if you could take friends' hair forever, but they would be bald, would you do it? This should be in the less sane category. No, probably not. Let them keep their hair. I got a little bit left, it's enough to keep me going. And where did you get your channel name? Has it been the same the whole time as a creator? It's actually a great question. And I had to think about this quite a while, because I couldn't remember the answer. But I think the way it went down was I was talking to a friend of mine named Daniel who never laughs, right? Like, the guy has no sense of humor whatsoever. You sit in I went to a comedy show with him, and he sat there like this the entire time. And the guy was spitting some fire, I told him I'm thinking of making YouTube videos, and he turned around and said, "Don't do that." And then I said, "Oh, okay," looking kind of sad. And he was like, "Well, what's the channel name?" Trying to feed me a bone. And on the spot, I came up with, I don't know, Largely Unemployed, and he laughed. He laughed literally for the first time in like 3 years. I heard that man's laugh, and I was like, "That's it. That's the name. That's the one that's sticking." Because it's so good. It's so stupid. And then, by sheer coincidence, the largely adverb it's really brandable. Largely live, largely legal, largely unemployed. So, yeah. It's largely unemployed and always has been. Meta asks, do you play any instruments? No, not anymore. I used to play classical guitar and a bit of jazz guitar, but that was in high school. Haven't touched it in years. What is your theoretically favorite country to live in, if we assume you know the language and get a job or apartment there? Favorite country to live in so far has definitely been Switzerland. Well, actually, that's not true. The most fun country to live in was South Korea. But it's always busy, it's a place of extremes, it's exciting, it's different, it's crazy. But Switzerland was the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. It is utopia. Everything you see looks like a postcard. I would love to live there if I could afford it. And hey, who knows? Maybe I will one day. The Senate says, what is the ideal terrain for Miles to thrive on emotionally and physically? Look, I'll be honest, my people were built for the tundra. So take me out to the snow wastes and keep me nice and chilly. I hate the heat, which has been a rough go of it in Africa. I like the cold because you can just put another blanket. You can get away from the cold. You can't really get away from the heat. If you had the chance to meet any of your followers at VidCon or other internet convention thingy, would you? Yeah, probably. At the risk of sounding parasocial, I actually like some of you a little bit. And so, yeah, it would be actually really nice to put real faces to the fake names. So, yeah, I would gladly do a fan meetup one day. Alright, but with that, we move away from the safe lands of sanity and begin to slip into the madness of these next questions. So, Charlie Weber asks many questions, but for starters, do you feel bad for getting phrases like "cod me," "my body," and "I've got and done it" stuck in my head as I play through Dredge? No. No, I don't feel bad. You say thank you when someone gives you something, okay? Where are your manners? Then, do you plan on doing more sponsored content? I would love to. Sponsors, please reach out. If you're an indie game dev, I'd be happy to promo your game. It doesn't even have to be a paid thing. So if you are developing a game or you know someone that is, slide it my way. Look, no promises, but I would love to do it. And then tell us about moving back to South Korea plan, probability, timeline, etc. So, I am planning on moving back to South Korea just to get away from the electricity issues in South Africa. I wish I could stay, I really do, but the place I live in doesn't allow me to set up power generation of any kind, meaning that I am completely at the mercy of the government's power schedule, which is erratic and horrendous. So moving back to South Korea is also a way just to get some cash back in, as I've been unemployed for about 5 months now. Thanks UN. So, but the earliest, I mean, like the documentation takes a while to come through. I have to have my degrees verified and then have those documents apostilled, which is like a government authorization of the validity of that document. And then I have to have like my police clearance come back, which is like my criminal record. And it's so long and I've done so many crimes that it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for that to happen. So everything going the way it needs to, the earliest I could leave is probably the end of July, realistically September this year. So that's the timeline. Who is your favorite not often catching you live because he has 5 kids subscriber? Look, that's a very general, broad statement. If I had to think of one of the many people that fits that category off the top of my head, it'd probably be this guy, Charlie Weber. You might know him. He's pretty cool. Donated to the Red Cross when I asked people to. That's how you know he's a good egg. The Senate says, is the current gauze more or less comfy than the bus-related gauze? I think speaking about my former grievous head injury. Is it better quality, better ply count, or worse, God forbid, texture? And you can see how we're sliding down the ramp of insanity here. It was certainly better quality. I think it was lesser ply count. That was a lesson learned. And the texture was unremarkable to go on both ends. I will say this though, I don't remember much about being hit by the bus after my hospital visit, because I walked out about 4 days 3 or 4 days after the event happened, I got hit by a bus on my motorcycle, for those of you who don't know, at pretty significant speed. I got messed up. And they had me on so much morphine when I finally left, and they give me like take-home tablets, that I was gone, man. Like, the 2 weeks afterwards were just a haze of drug-induced euphoria. The only memory I have that's like really clear, I've got a couple, but the one that really stuck with me was about 2 days after I left the hospital. For some reason, the doctors thought it'd be fine to let me take my own meds, and so I took 2 painkillers by mistake. I was supposed to take 1 in 1 dosage, right? And I took 2, so double the normal dose. And I was so goddamn high, I remember walking around in a circle in my driveway for like 3.5 hours, staring at a brick in the floor. Like, just like, I was into that shit. And Tater says, what animal are you most afraid of? And what animal is most afraid of you? What a question. I have been known to strike fear into the hearts of gods and men. However, I think I am probably most terrified of Parktown prawns. I'll put a picture up behind me, right over here. These motherfuckers are everywhere in Johannesburg, and they are terrifying. As for what animal's most afraid of you, I think that I instill huge amounts of fear in ducks. They see me coming, they see the shape of my head, they know that the offspring they abandoned have come back to haunt them. I'm the ghost of ducklings present, past, and future. Mermix42 says, do you already regret being a YouTuber, or should I ask this again at 10k subs? This video is making me regret it a little, but I honestly would not be able to cover my rent if I hadn't started this. So, from a completely pragmatic view, I'm very thankful that I started making videos and monetizing them, and that you wonderful people watching this are so supportive of the work I do. Quite literally keeping the limited lights we have in this country on around here. So, you fucking rock. Do you speak South Korean, and if so, please give an example? Oh man, you're trying to get me to... Oh, you're trying to get me cancelled here again. So I can swear a lot in Korean, which seems to go for a lot of the languages I speak. But, 네, 나는 한국말 조금 할 줄 안다. 화장실 어디예요? That means I speak a little bit of Korean. Where is the bathroom? And then the third question, when do you get over your professional pride and release your first video about international humanitarian law? So as I mentioned earlier, it's less of a pride thing and more of an imposter syndrome thing. Plus I'm really struggling to adapt to the, how do you say it, like the scripted format of a video. It's just not my style. I'm very much more free, sort of stream of consciousness, cut it together. And I've done that as a test recording, and it's just like 50 jump cuts in 10 minutes. It is unwatchable. So I need to find a workable hybrid between the two, and I just don't know if I'm built like that. Like I need like someone there with cue cards or like a teleprompter to keep me on track. So maybe I need to get Magic in here twice a week to do some recordings. Rudiger McGillicuddy says, new phone, who dis? Hi, it's your father speaking. We've had a lot of fun around here, but I need you to know I'm coming home with the milk and the cookies, and maybe even some cigarettes if you're old enough. Supreme Leader Couch Potatoes says, what is your favorite dinosaur? I like a Mesosaurus. I think a Mesosaurus is probably the guy. If you could eat a mammoth meatball, would you? Probably. I'm open to new things. And would you bend the knee to my inevitable world domination? Probably not. Not that open to things. Adachi says, if you could eat meatball Ron, would you? Which I believe is what Trump called Ron DeSantis. And no, I'm petrified of cannibals and cannibalism. It's probably my my greatest rational, not irrational, very rational fear. Cannibalism. Doxmania says biltong-y, and I had planned to just have a bag of biltong and I'd eat it, you know, in response, but I genuinely, it was too good, I ate it immediately. It's similar to beef jerky, for those of you who've ever had that, except it's not sweet, and it's very salty, very spicy, very savory, it's dried meat. Holy shit, it's so good. So the real question is, why not? And what's the coldest it's ever been where you live? Well, I mean, I've lived in a lot of places, right? Like, nearly every continent now, we're getting there. But the coldest it's ever been in South Africa was a winter in like 2010 or 11? Might have been 2009 or 10, I'm not sure. It was in that bracket. It dropped below -5 the one morning. And that was enough that our geyser and all the related pipes actually exploded, because they're not insulated for that kind of temperature, right? So yeah, we had huge icicles coming out of our ceiling for a bit. The Senate says gold dress or purple dress. Neither. Neither. Here, blue dress. And does South Africa have garden gnomes? Well, we do have gardens, and that's what gnomes typically inhabit, so. Senate says, do you ever plan to embrace the trailer park mullet bald spot combo? As glorious as that would be, probably not. I think I'm going to stick to the cue ball look for the foreseeable future. I've definitely branded myself into a corner on that one. And with that, we leave the final vestiges of sanity in the dark and return only to shadow. Starting off strong, Senate says that Grievous Head Injury sounds like a band name, which, let's be honest, it really does. It's a fucking good band name, too. And if you were a wizard, fine so far, what would be your mancy? For example, pyromancy. I'm personally am a big fan of uranomancy, writes the Senate. Don't clip that, take it out of context. Uranomancy raises eyebrows, so I guess I'd be big on scatomancy. Maxim says, do you love me, bald man? Of course I do. I love all my bald boys equally. But this is what we talk about when we talk about parasocial relationships. So, fuck it, yeah. Yeah, I'll slide down the ramp with you. Yeah, I love you all. Dennis says, will you ever play DayZ? This is the most unhinged question I've ever received. No, probably not. I have like 3 hours of electricity a day. You think what can I do if I get raided? DayZ, Rust, all of them? Not really an option for a South African gamer like me. Zebra03 says, do you like pineapple pizza? Y'all are straight up trying to get me cancelled today. But fine, I'll go on record, I'll say it. Yes, I like pineapple pizza. I like pizza, pineapple on my pizza. Do you know why? Because I've lived through South Korea. Alright, I'm a veteran of South Korean pizza. They are crimes against both God and food. And if you've seen some of the stuff the Koreans produce, you'd sleep easy. Okay, snacking on a pineapple pizza. Senate then says, how many 10-year-olds do you think you could murk in a fight? Why? Why ask that? Considering an open battlefield with one melee weapon from your medieval MMA available to you, but no armor. Alright, I'll take this in good faith. And we're going to assume this is hypothetical future employers, okay? I am not anticipating the murder of any children. Alright, it's self-defense if anything. I would take a spear, very long one. Like probably 3 meters, maybe? Maybe because you can always snap it a bit smaller if you need to get close. And I'd poke him from a distance. And I reckon I could probably get like 15, maybe 20, if they're not armored, before they catch up and then rip me apart with their grubby little hands. And then finally, to really put a bow on this whole thing, Grim Monolith says, if you could have any superpower for a day, why don't you close your eyes when we kiss anymore? Thank you everybody for watching. It's been a lot of fun answering all your questions. I hope I gave good answers. They weren't scripted, it's just what I thought, what I felt as I read them. And we'll do another one of these around 10k subs. Let me know if you want merch, because merch is a possibility now. I've been working on some really cool branding ideas. Call it Lighthouse spoilers, but yeah, we'll think about that. If you'd be interested in like a hoodie or a t-shirt or something, we can be funny, they can be cool. Let me know and I'll look into it. Also, please check out my new Instagram page. It's linked in the description. I'm trying to do the content creator stuff and bring more eyes to this. It does suck to use a Facebook-related product, but where the people are, right? So thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for being so cool, guys. You inspire me to keep doing this. Really. I quite literally could not do this without you. Cheers.